On November 14th, 2025, Alice Wong became an ancestor. A well known disabled activist, writer, and podcaster, Alice was the catalyst for Pod Access. In this episode, we'll pay tribute to Alice by looking back at the 100 episodes of Disability Visibility Podcast. We'll speak to some people who contributed to the podcast in different ways.
Cheryl, you knew Alice longer and interacted with her more than I did. But I have to say, I don't think she would want us to have this sad music to open the tribute.
Dagnabbit. You're right.
From my interaction with Alice, I think she likes something with just a bit more funk.
Yeah, she'd like that. No, I think there's only one way to start off a tribute to Alice.
A tribute to, I'm just going to proclaim this today, the godmother of disabled podcasting. Alice should kick it off as she did the first episode of the Disability Visibility Podcast.
This is the Disability Visibility Podcast with your host, Alice Wong.
Hey there. Welcome to the very first episode of the Disability Visibility Podcast. Conversations on disability politics, culture, and media. My name is Alice Wong, and I am honored to be your host. With a gazillion podcasts out there, you might wonder, why this one? Why now? The short answer is, I don't see shows about disability culture and politics by NPR or other major media organizations, and I'm not waiting around. The revolution is here. One podcast, one transcript, one tweet at a time. Oh yeah, and I just want to make it clear that disability visibility isn't visibility in the literal sense. It's about creating spaces by us and for us. It's about our identity, pride, and culture. It's about sharing our community stories and our unapologetic lives with the world.
That inaugural DVP episode was recorded in July 2017, just days after the GOP healthcare bill died in the Senate.
Are you ready? Away we go!
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
I'm Cheryl Green, a white Ashkenazi Jewish woman with olive complexion and cat eye glasses, and a fabulously fuzzy leopard print hoodie.
I'm Thomas Reed. I'm a brown-skinned black man with a smooth-shaven bald head, neat salt and pepper beard, wearing dark shades, and a gray hoodie with the original 1966 Black Panthers. I thought Alice would dig these cool cats.
Thomas and I had the privilege of being invited by Alice to collaborate on a project with the goal of encouraging and amplifying deaf and disabled podcasters. That eventually turned into podaccess.net.
With 100 episodes of DVP, choosing which episode to highlight could be a time-consuming challenge. Fortunately, we had a bit of help from the inside, known as Cheryl.
The production team was Alice, Sarika Mehta, Geraldine Asu, and me. As one of the producers of the Disability Visibility podcast, I edited over 35 episodes and transcribed 99 of the 100. You can find audio and transcripts at disabilityvisibilityproject.com/podcast-2 and a downloadable resource guide that has show notes and info for all the episodes.
Some of the first episodes included activism in the disability community, disabled people in media and journalism, immigration, and disability.
What are your thoughts on the current administration's attack on multiple marginalized communities, such as disabled immigrants?
Well, it seems like the new administration is kind of like in the times when Hitler wanted the perfect body, the perfect everything, and when you don't fit in that profile, of course you're not welcome. So it seems like really this administration would like to get rid of anyone who costs money to the government. And, you know, the definition of who costs money to the government, as you and I know, can be seen from many different perspectives. But it seems like people forget that actually immigrants are paying taxes and are doing all the things that they are doing.
That was Alice in conversation with Alicia Contreras, taken from the second episode of DVP, which also included Michelle Garcia. I hate how fitting this episode is today.
Throughout its 100 episodes, DVP offered discussions on topics like disability justice, mental health, to lighter discussions like gaming, Star Trek, and comedy.
So I want to thank you, Danielle and Mason, for joining me on the podcast today.
My name is Danielle Perez. I am a bilateral below the knee amputee. I use a wheelchair and I do stand-up comedy in Los Angeles, California.
My name is Mason Zayed, and I'm not a joiner, so I'm just going to hang up on this podcast right now, if that's okay. I am a comedian, writer, disability advocate, actress, and tap dancer. And I'm on this podcast because you told me to be. And I never, ever say no to you because, like, you're the leader of the pack and I just follow.
Alice, you are the leader of the wolf pack, truly.
Yeah, you guys. Trust me, I will be editing that out.
No, you won't. Excuse me. I never agreed to be edited.
Oh.
Yeah, you didn't ask.
It's all on the record.
This is live to tape. We're doing it live.
All right, we will go on. We'll go with that. Hey, I respect yours as an artist. I respect yours if you want yours to take. Okay, then.
Alice had a massive impact on my podcasting. She was everything. She was the sun, the moon, and the stars. Alice did so much for the disability justice community. I know that she isn't really gone. She's here with me. Alice really was almost like a possibility model for me because Alice had this kind of longevity, this prolific nature about her. I mean, she created a media empire. What she left behind is massive. What's an episode that really stands out to me and why? Well, of course, I'm going to say episode 52, all about podcasting, because it featured me and the one and only Thomas Reed of Read My Mind Radio. I actually listened to it again earlier today and got all up in my feelings because, I was hearing from a younger version of me, an almost more hopeful version of me. And now that I'm older and I'm Maxwell now, because I've transitioned, I have a little less hope in humanity and more hope in the universe that things will change, because they always do. And it's really inspiring me to get back on the mic and get a chance to say fuck ICE on the mic. Shit like that.
That was Maxwell Joy Moore, host and producer of the podcast Power Not Pity.
For the last episode of DVP, Alice interviewed us producers about what it was like to work with her and make the show. She admitted that she was nervous about being a great boss. She said,
But really, I want to give all of you kind of that freedom to play as well. Kind of just enough guidance, but not like micromanaging.
Alice is one of the best bosses or supervisors that I've ever worked with. If you out there listening are looking for somebody to feel really human with, Alice is your person.
Second that.
but also Alice is your cat. Then she wanted us to share some dirt about what it was like to work with her. But all three of us were like, yeah, it was the best work environment ever, including how flexible and accessible she made everything.
Creating a podcast that people want to listen to requires some essential ingredients. Of course, good content, consistency, and I'm going to say a memorable and recognizable theme song.
Yep. Here's Kaylin Heffernan, who fronts Wheelchair Sports Camp. This is the band who created the song Alice chose as the intro for DVP called It's Hard Out Here for a Gimp.
Alice Wong reached out via Leroy Moore back in 2017 to use a song on the Disability Visibility podcast, and I was a big fan and follower of Alice Wong on Twitter mostly, but a big fan. Always saw her as such an idol. And so when she asked me to use some music, of course, I was like humbled and honored. It was a fuck yes. Alice Wong was an idol to me and somebody that I aspired to reach the same amount of people from around the globe. Alice Wong is definitely like the icon of our time. Always so legendary and prolific in the ways that she shared stories from so many different types of people, different types of disabilities, different backgrounds, different perspectives, and always on the front lines for so many important causes and reasons, and always being so fly about it. She really had a style to her name and her brand and the messages that she chose to share and to uplift.
Sometimes you hear it may not be a good idea to meet your heroes or those you admire. They may not live up to what you think you know about them. I wanted to invite Alice onto my podcast, but honestly, I was too nervous. Next thing you know, I get an email from Alice inviting me onto DVP. You couldn't tell me nothing. I thought I made it as a podcaster. We recorded sometime in December, and then she told me the episode would go live the next spring. I was shocked. At that time, I was producing episode to episode. I never even thought about planning, scheduling, getting a team of people. Unknowingly, Alice made me aware that I could actually produce my podcast and make my life a bit easier. Thankfully, I got over my nerves and invited her onto the podcast. We had a great conversation about so many things, including her approach to podcasting.
I'm also very open about what I don't know and my own kind of implicit biases. I really want this to be an opportunity to highlight and really just give space to all kinds of disabled people, and also just to not have me dominate or drive the conversation, but to really have to be the ones driving the conversation.
I think that's something that you and I share, is that curiosity about things. I don't know a lot about a whole lot, but I know I want to know, and the idea of being able to talk to people and just do that and present it in a way, that's just really cool.
I think of the guests as experts. I want them to shine. My role is to kind of frame the subject and to really do the prep work and hopefully ask good questions. That's, what really gives me joy. When I'm in conversation with somebody and you get that feeling, that vibe, you feel the energy when 2 people or 3 people are in a room and kind of just like jazz, just riffing, improvising, and just vibing off of one another. That is what's like so exciting about disability culture. It is a shared experience, whether we are exactly the same or not, but very often just the lived experience. Sometimes there's a lot of common themes. And I think when we see that reflected in one another, no matter how different we are, just makes us feel more empowered, I think.
Alice was on my podcast too, talking about what makes a quote unquote good radio voice. And she found subtle ways to empower disabled people. She was intentional about all aspects of DVP. Consider the first voice that comes on when you push play on Disability Visibility.
This is the Disability Visibility Podcast with your host, Alice Wong.
That's Dr. Lateef McLeod. Today, one of the hosts of the podcast, Black Disabled Men Talk.
So besides Alice being one of the ones that inspired me to start podcasting, she is the one who gave me instructions and showed me how to produce a podcast. She was the one who told me to get a Blueberry account and then to set everything up on WordPress. Without Alice's help, I would not know a thing about setting up the infrastructure for the Black Disabled Men Talk podcast. I also was inspired by the unique way Alice tackled disability issues on her podcast, and I hope our own podcast brings our own unique flavor when talking about disability issues. I am indebted to Alice for being the podcaster that I am, and I miss her greatly.
I second that emotion.
Today, Alice is an ancestor, a disabled ancestor. She's joined so many friends and fellow disabled activists. Many were guests on DVP, like Judy Heumann, Stacey Park Milburn, and Patty Byrne.
What makes a good mentor? A good mentor is someone who wants to listen and wants to help people work through something. And a mentor needs to be somebody who recognizes that it's not just a giving, but it's a sharing experience, that I learn as much as the other person learns. I think you have to be a relatively patient person. I mean, patient as an activist. Mm-hmm. I mean, patient in recognizing, that people move along at their own pace.
I think just naming becoming disabled or more disabled as a transition that happens in life, and that it can be a life-changing transition or experience, is really important, because most people or all people will go through that at some time. And if we can figure out how to really show up for each other during these times, then I think we could change the social experience of what it means to be disabled.
I believe that when we're born, we are fully aware of our beauty and power, and that our relationships with ourselves, our bodies, get severed from lots of things can do that, right? Violence, be it family violence or medical violence, messages from the world, from media to magazines, demonstrating to my body that I'll take good care of it. I'm not going to let it get hurt. I'm not going to deride it. Just like I would any friend, I would demonstrate that I love them, and I would tell them that I love them. And so I tell my body all the time, how beautiful it is.
At the conclusion of the Disability Visibility podcast, Alice shared 3 voice memos reflecting back on 100 episodes of the podcast. First up, Sandy Ho, featured in episode 34.
Thank you for curating this incredible treasury of stories and conversations from disabled people. It means a lot to have been included in this collection, but also because I learned so much from every single episode that was produced. This collection became a resource that I would often refer so many students to. And it was always exciting to me to see what insights they gained, because they were always different from the ones that I picked up on. And also, as someone who has always been very self-conscious about the way my voice sounds, being on the DVP podcast was really the first time that I felt confident in the way that my voice sounds and in the power that it carries. So thank you so much, Alice, for all of the work that you've put into making this absolute treasure happen.
We heard from guests and the production team, and Alice's impact through DVP on the audience is vast and will continue.
My name is Kutsia Naki, and I host my own podcast called Down to the Struts. I want to hugely thank Alice Wong and Cheryl Green for their support as I was getting started. DVP was a huge inspiration to me. I'm so grateful to Alice and all the team involved for being trailblazers and for paving the way for other disabled creators in media and culture.
My name is Katie Carroll, and this message is for Alice Wong and the producers of the Disability Visibility podcast. I'm a disabled person, and I love keeping up on all of the conversations that are happening in the disability community. I'm so thankful for your podcast because every time I listen to it, I learn something new or hear from someone that I have yet to hear from, but need to. Thank you so much.
For this tribute, we definitely want Alice to have the last word.
Here's Alice from the last episode of DVP.
Well, I think everything that's worth doing, we should try to have as much humor and pleasure and enjoy, I think that's one of the things about this podcast. It's just been such a gift, to me, but also a gift to one another and to the world. I feel like that's really been the big thing. Maybe we should just end on that note, just a note of abundance and gratitude. Thanks for listening, and see you on the internet. Bye!